I would like to share with you a lifelong epic love story. The kind that was like electricity when we first met. It was hard to catch my breath. My head was in the clouds. My pulse was racing. You know the story. And as we settled into our relationship together, the sweatpants came out, and some of those little quirks that I didn't quite notice at the beginning started showing up. Like how much he always needs my attention. It's like, my love, I just walked through the door. Can I take my shoes off and then I'll pay attention to you? My love's name? Stress. He's cute, right? The thing with stress is, we've all had a relationship with it our entire lives. But many of our relationships might be in turmoil, and for good reason. We've been taught that stress is bad for us, toxic even, and that any semblance of it in our lives, we need to do everything in our power to get rid of it or avoid it completely. Now here's the thing. Research suggests stress will kill us, but only if we believe it will. I'll say that one more time. Stress will kill us, but only if we believe it will. I've spent the better part of my clinical career working alongside young children and their families experiencing trauma. And during this time, I became incredibly interested on the impact this work had on the helpers, therapists, social workers, educators, and wanting to understand more the impacts of secondary trauma, compassion fatigue, and burnout. And what's interesting about this newer body of research is it suggests that stress isn't the issue. Getting stuck in our stress cycle without resolution is the problem. And if we can find more effective ways of resolving our stress cycle, it can actually promote things like problem solving, motivation, persistence, creativity, and even bravery. So stress, my love, you're not the problem, but a relationship might need some maintenance or couples counseling. So why don't you join me on the couch? Most of us are probably familiar that maintenance for our stress response has been through self-care. Things like lighting candles, taking bubble baths, listening to Enya, and all of a sudden our stress cycle is supposed to resolve itself. Now I don't know about you, but the last time I got kicked in the shins by a kid, I couldn't go, hey buddy, can you wait about 20 minutes? I need to go take a bubble bath. I'll be right back, hold tight. The issue with what most we consider self-care tasks is that they're either unavailable to us in the moment when we need them the most, or we might be using them at a point in the resolution of our stress cycle that is premature. Think of it this way. Imagine you're in a real heated argument with a significant other or loved one. You both threw down all your cards, and in the midst of it, you go in for a hug. Two things can happen in this moment. One, you're caught in an incredibly awkward hug, going, what just happened? Please make this stop. Really bad idea. Or the hug feels good in the moment, but as soon as that hug is over, you're left wondering, what just happened? And did I actually resolve anything? So I'm not saying self-care is a bad thing. In fact, it is a pivotal part of the resolution process, but one we want to use towards the end of the cycle. So where do we begin? Researchers in this area have started coming up with a number of common themes. And one of the first ones that keeps popping up is permission. And permission comes in two forms. The first part of it is to be able to give ourselves permission to feel the full array of emotions and sensations that accompany our stress cycle. They will be unpleasant, they may be intense, things like fear, frustration, anxiety, confusion, overwhelm, grief. But as we begin to allow our bodies to feel these physical sensations and emotions, they become familiar with it. And over time, our body starts to understand that though intense and unpleasant, that they will naturally run their course and can do so without harm. The second part of permission is through giving ourselves permission to have a choice. If we feel as though we have a choice in how we approach our stress response, it feels much more manageable and in our control. Sometimes that choice is saying yes, I'm willing to be challenged. I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to get on top of that diving board and jump right off into the unknown. And sometimes that choice is saying no, to hold a firm boundary in a moment when we need to focus inward and become familiar with what these physical sensations and emotions are trying to tell us. And by doing so, our body learns to trust this process. And with familiarity and trust, we can start approaching them with curiosity. My first clinical career was as a community and home-based therapist for young children. During this time, I was introduced to a young 4-year-old girl who was exhibiting significant aggression. She lived in high community violence, domestic abuse, poverty, and sitting in her home one day on the couch talking to her mother, the mother goes to me and says, well, the other day we were entering our apartment, and as I was coming inside, the neighbors came out and started beating me with a baseball bat. The girls saw everything. They ran inside. I ran in after them. And here we are, because this is the community we live in. And then she goes on to say, Mr. Patrick, I know what you're trying to do to be helpful in teaching her how to use her words, but the reality is there are people in this community that want to harm her. And the only way she can protect herself is to fight back. I cannot have that taken away from her. Stress, my love. Hi. He needs my attention. In that moment, feeling powerless and overwhelmed, an intense urge to want to fix that situation, a lot of embarrassment by what I was doing was not helpful to this family. And by giving myself permission to lean into that moment and begin to ask myself with curiosity, what are these physical sensations and emotions trying to tell me, and how might they be helpful? And by approaching it with curiosity, it was my body's very direct way of telling me, slow down. You can't fix this, nor should you. But what you can do is sit here and listen, and really listen to what this mother is saying and what this family is needing. And then with curiosity, we begin to understand that though unpleasant and intense, these feelings and sensations are helping us. And in that moment, it was my body's way of telling me I needed to problem solve, persist, stay motivated, get creative, and be brave. And as we cultivate through permission, familiarity, and trust, we are able to approach these feelings and sensations with curiosity. Then we can learn to have acceptance for them. The reality is we are innately and biologically built to experience stress. It is a relationship we will have our entire lives. So as much as we try to get rid of it or avoid it, why don't we learn to accept it for what its purpose is, and that is to help us? Around the same time doing community-based therapy, I was introduced to a young 5-year-old boy who spent the bulk of his life in foster care. By the age of 7 in our work together, he had gone inpatient at least 3 times. With the last time going inpatient, his foster family relinquished their custody. His parents had already terminated their rights. He had no family to go to. He was considered a hard kid to place, with no family wanted him. He was a ward of the state. He was an orphan. And I was his last remaining relationship. In a teaming meeting with child welfare, caseworker turns to me and says, Patrick, you seem to like this kid so much, and he seems to do pretty well with you. Why don't you foster him? Oh, right, yes. Stress, my love. Oh, so much attention. Coursing through my body. In that moment, feeling overwhelmed and helpless, and mostly frustrated and angry that I was put in a position where I either had to say no to this kid and feel guilty about leaving him in an inpatient facility that he did not need to be in, or say yes and do a job that I was not ready or prepared to do, and feeling like I was caught in a corner. And so I had a wise mentor and supervisor at the time who allowed us to do just as I've been talking about today. gave me permission to feel frustrated and angry, allowed me to be curious about what these physical sensations and emotions were trying to tell me. And it was my body's way of saying, I wanted to be this kid's Superman and save his life, but I couldn't, and how painful that was for me. But being able to accept that and understand and trust my body was running through its natural course, that I was able to use that energy and channel it for problem solving, motivation, persistence, creativity, and bravery. All of the things we needed to be able to work through this case. And no, I did not need to foster this kid, but it was not without a lot of challenges, a lot of tears, and a lot of effort that he was able to find a foster family, and by the age of 9, he was adopted. And so this is the point in the resolution cycle where we would want to go into action. And action is what we consider our self-care tasks. The thing with action is that we want to use it as an intentional moment and opportunity to re-embody ourselves to go through this cycle. That if we were going to take a bubble bath, light some candles, and listen to Enya, that's an opportunity or something that you did because it allowed you permission to rest. You had a choice in how you wanted to approach your stress cycle. It gave you a moment of quiet to be curious with yourself and ask yourself, what are these feelings and sensations trying to tell me, and how might they be helpful? And a moment of grounding and intention to be able to accept this experience. And this is where resolution fully can occur. So my hope for everyone here today is that you may entertain the thought of starting to mend your own relationship with your stress cycles. And maybe, just maybe, even writing a love letter of your own. But a few short words before we leave. My dearest stress, I can't breathe when you're around. My heart races with your presence. The thought of you keeps me up at night. For so many years, I've misunderstood your signals, but now I know you've always had my best interests in mind, to make me a better version of myself, to make me brave, to protect me when I needed you the most. And I promise to listen to you and support you how you have always supported me. Love, Patrick. Thank you.